Do we know what the better deal Vlade Divac said he had that he didn't pull the trigger on for whatever reason is?
Yeah, I've heard a couple of things. One, I think the thing that he said, Rich, was that you have to ask the agents, and people would say, well, why would you ask agents? They're not in charge of negotiations. Well, in this case, they had a role because DeMarcus's agents were going around to the league and saying, do not trade for DeMarcus. He will not sign with you. And Orlando was interested and then backed away. Also, I think the Pelicans made a more compelling offer before the offer that they took because the Pelicans were able to sniff out quite rightly that they were the only bidders. So what exactly was Vlade talking about? Only Vlade knows. But I think it had to do with the fact that the threats, once DeMarcus's agents got wind that they were seriously looking to trade him, they went on across the league and saber-rattled all over the place, and that changed the offers that they were willing to give. And it might have forced the Pelicans, being told that DeMarcus was not going to re-sign there, to say, you know what, we're not going to give you, piece A and B. We're only going to make it piece A.
So what would be Boogie Cousins' agent's reason for doing that? Just to screw over the Kings, or they wanted Boogie to stay in Sacramento, or wanted to steer him to a spot that he wanted in a situation that obviously he had little leverage? Brian.
Rich, it's an excellent question, and it's a very simple answer. How does $30 million sound is the answer.
That sounds great. That sounds great.
There's a new rule. When I say new, Rich, I mean it's less than a month or two old in the new collective bargaining agreement, where if you are a star player, if you meet certain criteria, and Boogie does, you can re-sign with your team for the number for him this summer would have been $210 million. Mm-hmm. If you get traded anywhere, no matter what happens, you can't sign for that much money, and the contract he could get right now would be about $30 million less. It's basically a de facto franchise tag. They couldn't agree with the union to implement the idea where a franchise could just stick it on a player and say you can't move. So they installed something that would basically force franchise players to give up huge money if they wanted to walk. And it's so funny that the first time it really comes into play, it actually forced the team to trade a star player because the Kings looked at it and said, you know what, I don't know if we want to make a $200 million commitment to him.
So basically, Cousins lost 30-some-odd million bucks to go to New Orleans, but he still can make an absurd amount of money that'll set him for the rest of his life.
Yes, I mean,
essentially,
between what the tax rate is in California, mm-hmm. and it may not even actually be that big of a difference. But it wasn't because he had an undying love to be a King. That was the motivation for the agents to try to scuttle any other deals.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.